I was in sales when I went to my family business, Virardi. We won the first European award in terms of sales. So they flew us to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I saw a consultant there by the name of Jeffrey Gitomer taking the stage. So as soon as he finished, I went up to him and I said, "How can I become like you, sir?" And he told me, there is an easy way and a difficult way. I asked, what's the easy way as a Cypriot? He said, study.
Michael Virardi
is a speaker, trainer, and author
with over 20 years of experience
in empowering leaders
and organizations
to build
a winning culture.
So tell me about those very first early keynotes.
If I see myself on a video recorded from those early keynotes, I was just telling them what was on the PowerPoint. But if you bring me to the future and then take me back, I would never have gone on that journey looking at myself delivering those keynotes. The only thing that hasn't changed is the passion. And if I lose the passion, I will stop doing what I'm doing.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Made in Cyprus, big business story from a tiny island. And today with me, we have Michael Virardi. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here, Martin. Thank you for the invitation.
No, thank you for being here. I know that you are not busy, but extremely busy man. Traveling, speaking, doing, working, consulting, coaching, mentoring, being a father, being a husband. You got it all on your plate.
And you never missed a single T. You crossed all the I's and the T's. It's true. But I'm living my passion, so I don't feel extremely busy. I feel extremely blessed.
Listen, who was Michael and who did he become?
You know, many years ago in 2013, I set foot on a stage at TEDx. The title of the speech was A Good Boy. And I said about the Cypriot good boys and women, of course, who go to the family business, work there. And that's what I've done for 15 years or so. But then there was a cry for this passion on speaking, facilitation, seminars. And the story developed into following my passion and living my dream. I'm telling you this in a few seconds, but it took a few years for this to happen.
The Kalopedi.
Yes, from Kalopedi, which I hopefully stayed like a Kalopedi, but
we'll ask your wife.
I changed the course.
We'll cross-check that. Yes, we'll see what the wife says. Was it intentional? So that change, that pivot from the proven already paved for you family path, let's say, to where you are now. Help me understand, how did that happen? Was it intentional or it happened organically?
I'll tell you the story in a nutshell. I was in sales when I went to my family business, Virardi, and there was a company called Carlisle Food Service Products, which my late father told me, you take care of this. Start with this one. It was something that wasn't very expensive products like the ovens, like the combi steamers, like the coffee machines. And to cut a long story short, we won the first European award in terms of sales. So they flew us to Charlotte, North Carolina together with my brother. And I saw a consultant there by the name of Jeffrey Gitomer taking the stage. I was mesmerized. I was riveted on the chair. It was the first time I stayed on a chair for 6 hours. So as soon as he finished, I went up to him and I said, "How can I become like you, sir?" And he told me there is an easy way and a difficult way. I asked, what's the easy way as a Cypriot? He said, study 2 hours on your chosen topic. Within 5 years, you'll be recognized in your country, 10 years worldwide. So I bought his books, Customer Satisfaction is Worthless, Customer Loyalty is Priceless, and the Sales Bible. I bought his cassettes, not DVDs, not CDs, cassettes, and I started on that path. I started courses inside the Virardi company. This has helped us grow a lot because everyone was at par in terms of customer service, customer experience. It helped us grow around 300% in the next 3, 4, 5 years approximately. And probably it was, at the beginning, it was random because we did a good job in terms of Carlisle Food Service Products. We got the award to go to Charlotte, but then it was intentional. Then I said, I want to do this. So I started on a course with intentionality, but it took around 15, 16 years until this materialized.
Wow. So right now, would you say that you are in that materialization phase?
No, I've been doing this for the last 20, 22 years, but I was doing it at the same time as I was working for the family business. But when the business grew, I had to make a decision. So I stopped from the family business. I gave it a 3-year trial course. I gave it a 3-year period, and then I stopped and I started full-time here.
So tell me about those very first early keynotes.
If I see myself on a video recorded from those early keynotes, it was death by PowerPoint. I was just telling them what was on the PowerPoint, even though now we're saying the PowerPoint is it's just crutches. It helps you walk a bit, or if you forget something. I'm surely a completely different person. I'm happy for that. But if you bring me to the future and then take me back, I would never have gone on that journey looking at myself delivering those keynotes. The only thing that hasn't changed, I believe, is the passion. And if I lose the passion, I will stop doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And when people come, and sorry for the diversion, but when people come and they say, help me with public speaking, 90% of them say, I have an anxiety. I am worried. I can't sleep in the evening. I said, welcome to the group. Welcome to the club. I have the exact same thing. My only question is, are you prepared? Have you prepared for this interview? Have you prepared for this keynote? If you've done your push-ups, don't worry. Have faith.
It's interesting though, because I'm like way behind your journey, and I'm someone that went out of the comfort zone for adrenaline seeking. You know, I always do something that scares the shit out of me every year, and public speaking was one of those things. And pretty much like you, the first couple of times I didn't like it, but for me, mentally, there is a mechanism of over preparation that leads me to stagnation, and kind of I need to have a good layer of improvising and going with the flow and a bit of preparation, because if I prepare too much, I go into the anxiety. Oh my God, I diverted from what I prepared. You know, so it's tricky, but it's true. Everyone is absolutely shit scared about public speaking nowadays.
Your answer seems that you are very experienced, and I agree with you. You shouldn't over-prepare, because then you will burn yourself. Exactly like athletes. Athletes, the night before the training, before the games, they don't run a 10K.
There's nothing they can do.
Or there's nothing they can do. You just rest. Or before exams. My late father used to tell me, go to the examination without a single sheet of paper. Zero, nothing. Don't look at them at the last minute. Whatever you know, you know. So yes, if you over-prepare, if you overburn yourself, if you start looking up on the left or on the right, thinking, you're trying to deliver the answer that you have prepared for. It's good to have a bit of improvisation. But at the same time, as I told one of my assistants when we went to New York together, and I said, have 3 options per answer. She said, why? You don't trust me? I said, look, when you get up to the 33rd floor of the American P&I Club, and you look at the Statue of Liberty and the offices at the other end in the conference room, and you see 40 executives looking at you, and you have only one answer, you might lose it. So if you have 3, then you can pick another one from your head. So I was insisting. She got a bit upset, but when she went there, she understood how everything can go blank.
That's interesting.
So it's good to have an alternative.
Yeah. And would you say that you are emotionless now before the stage?
No. I'm full of emotion. I believe I speak with my heart. Because if I'm looking at notes, I will be speaking with my mouth. But if I'm not looking at my notes, I'm speaking with my heart. It's the heart driving it. And people can sense it. They can sense if it's staged or not. I'm not saying that theater is not staged and theater is not excellent when you go to London or New York and you watch a theater. But at the end of the day, a bit of improvisation, as you said, and a lot of emotion, it registers well with the people.
Yeah, I love that, because YouTube is full of great talks, and I think YouTube is full of great people, and you know, many of these people, they might be very well be smarter than us, but one thing they cannot have is your energy and your passion and your delivery type, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like a culture in a company. I mean, you can copy the prices, you can copy the design, but you can't copy the culture easily.
100%. Michael, what's your purpose? What's the big why that drive you? Because you told me, you know, it was a 15 years of pushing until you started to get there. That's a long journey to just label it as work. So what's the big why behind it?
The big why, I believe it's twofold. First one is the feedback I get from people. When people tell me that you have helped me with your work in terms of empowering me, in terms of helping me communicate, in terms of helping me lead with purpose, that's a great why for me. It gives me a great satisfaction. But the other why, which is a bit selfish, is because I get great pleasure out of it. I love meeting people. When I went to my dad and I said, I'm going to quit, He asked me to stay for another 3 years. And honestly, I was looking at my dream, at my passion. I said, I want to follow this. You know why? Because when I was working for the family business, I used to wake up at the same place, talking to the same customers, having the same route every day, or going to Ayanapa, Larnaca, Nicosia. Nowadays, I go into different destinations, cultures, meeting new people, philosophies, and it's an amazing dream. So the second why is because it makes me happy. And life passes very fast because I am happy. That's what I believe. It's a blessing to find your calling, but it's also a curse because time flies. Because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you're in jail, for example, and you're not enjoying it, time will not pass. So because I think you love what you do as well. That was my feeling from what I got from you.
No, 100%. I think like I think we're both lucky. We both had serendipity moments that helps us understand a different path on which we were on. And yeah, I know by a fact that I would not be able to perform outside of this job. Not saying that I will not be able to do any job, but I will not be happy. I need to have that happiness and the drive in order to be able to perform at this capacity.
Yeah, follow your calling. You are on the right track then.
and you coach thousands of people. Is there an epidemic of purpose? Do you see that other people are struggling to understand what is that source of happiness attached to a professional career, let's say?
I'll tell you, not every person is the same. When I went into that conference room and Jeffrey Gitomer took the stage, we were around 300, 400 people down there. Each person reacted in a different way. My brother heard what he heard. He bought the books. He read the books. He said, this is good. I'm learning something out of it.
Not revolutionary.
Not revolutionary. It helped him, of course, and I can see it in the way he conducts his business. I said, whoa, this is what I want to do in my life. I was inspired, and I acted. It took many years, but I acted. So I trained, I facilitated. Maybe I didn't coach thousands of people. I coached dozens and hundreds of people, but I trained a lot of people, and not everyone reacts the same. But the people who are thirsty, who are eager, who are inspired or want to be inspired, who want a direction or can find a direction, and each person can interpret it in a different way, I believe these people should be exposed to people like yourself, myself, or anyone else who is preaching at that time. Because it was somebody who was preaching in 2001 that led me to this direction and onto this chair that I'm sitting now.
Yeah. So, but there has to be also an internal desire. For you, was a stroke of luck, isn't it? I mean, you performed really well and you were rewarded with this award.
You create your luck. Because if we didn't perform well, we wouldn't have won the first European award. We wouldn't have been flown complimentary to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we wouldn't have been in that conference room. I think you make your luck. I think 80% is not luck. 80% is intentional.
Yeah.
It was preparation, meeting opportunity, as the proverb says.
No, I agree. Also about even just visualizing what it could be, it's already kind of preparing your way towards to it, right? So how can you have a vision if you don't even think about it, right? How can you have a goal if you don't even visualize it, right?
True.
And you told me something really interesting before, which is the reason that you love what you do is because you have this connection with people. And I think throughout your career, and I'm not calling you old or anything, experienced and wise, you've been through multiple transitions, and now we are in this massive transition of AI, and we are more connected than ever, and yet more disconnected and alone than ever. Depression, anxiety, suicide rates. I think mental health it's really probably at its lowest if we consider the technological advanced part of our history. How do you navigate that? And have you seen it? Have you experienced it in the work that you do working with people?
I think you're spot on in what you have said. I think we are connected technologically, but we are missing that human touch, that human connection. I can even see in my own living room, my son, my 11-year-old son having a mobile, my wife looking at her mobile, I'm looking at my mobile instead of connecting together, instead of switching it off. And if I tell you that I have the remedy, I don't have the remedy. But one thing during COVID, when everyone was saying that everything will be remote, set up for remote training, set up for everything, I said, I don't know how the stock market will behave. I don't know where gold will go. I don't know about wars, but there is one thing I do know. People cannot stay secluded in this office, even after COVID. My industry, training and development, people need to get out of the office and go up to the mountains to a retreat, to think better, to brainstorm. There is no way you can do it via technology only. And that's what I've seen happening. I didn't see us behind Zoom. Even Zoom, the Zoom shares have dropped. You remember how it went up at the time. So we are missing this human connection. We are missing writing a thank you note to someone. So whenever I write a thank you note, I send a book. Because whenever I buy books, I buy 2 or 3 copies of books. If I like the book, I send it to someone as a present. And I don't send presents during Christmas where everyone sends presents. I send presents during other times that no one sends presents because they get lost. So when I write those thank you notes, when I send those presents, I do it with the human connection. I will write a thank you note. I prefer it 100 times more than an email, which will find you instantaneously, but it doesn't give you the exact same feeling. And there was a study done at Harvard about electronic gifts and physical gifts. People don't feel when you're sending an electronic gift as obliged or as happy as when they're getting a gift, a physical gift, a real gift.
Yeah, of course. And another expansion to this topic is the rise of AI as well, right? So which again, in a way, makes easier some things, but is an extra layer of threat into that face-to-face, that real, authentic, connection. What's your view on?
First of all, I am in love with AI because I don't have an assistant, and AI has become my assistant. I was in Australia recently, and whilst I was talking to a businessman there, he said, "Have you bought the AI, the business version?" I said, "No, I will buy it now." "Have you fed it with all your offers?" I said, "No." Feed it with all your offers. Feed it with all your pricing, feed it with the way you write, the way you think, the way you communicate, talk to it. Very recently, I had a proposal to prepare, and I said, can you please prepare the exact same proposal as this company, but this is not in this industry, it's in this industry. And also, what is my average price for this kind of project? And within 4 seconds, we had the proposal ready. Within 5 seconds, we had the average price. And I only crossed 2 words out. It saved me 2 hours. So now, if I want to go back and say, when did I speak at Medallion in Greece? They will tell me, 29th of November, you spoke to these 5 ladies. What would you like me to do? Send a thank you note to everyone, thank you email to everyone. Do one write, it will write your emails. And do this. Honestly, it's like I hired a personal assistant. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy about it because it's true that it's going to be, as the experts say, the first trillion company will prevail with one person behind it. So I'm only one person. I have freelancers, a lot of freelancers, but I'm only one person. So AI has gotten, and I hired another person inside my company, and I fed everything there. So I'm very happy about it, as long as you have said, not to lose the human connection. And I don't want to lose the human connection. I vouch for it. I ran after it.
Yeah. What's the flip side of AI then? What's the threat?
Hey, look, I'll tell you another great thing about AI. The syndrome of the blank page is finished.
True.
It's finished.
True.
I used to sit in front of a blank page to write something. It's finished forever for generations. Our children will not know what a blank page is. We know, but our children will not know. The flip side is all these people who are getting out too much work and they don't invest the time to make that passage emotional, to really look at each and every sentence, to understand if it will connect with the audience, as you say in branding, but look at it in a way that really represents them. So if I asked to write the In Touch newsletter, I will tear it apart. I will keep 2 sentences. And out of those 2 sentences, I will build it, then feed it back, and then it will go to my editor, and he will tear it apart again, who's a human. So everything ends with John Vickers. John Vickers is the last link in the most important chain. It's not AI, it's John Vickers. It's a human being.
I 100% agree, and I think AI is a tool, and I think we just scratched the surface of the power of it. There's soon gonna be AI agents, which is actual artificial intelligence, which is fascinating words to be. But I see way too much content out there developed by personal brands, which is an actual regurgitation of what AI did, and it's so quick to understand.
True.
So quick to understand. AI comments. A fraction of a second, AI post a fraction of a second. So it's good to generate, it's good to revisit, but then ultimately you have to edit because it's your personal brand and you're making a promise to your readers as well that it's you and your thinking behind it.
It's true. I agree 100%.
Ethically, there is always that question, right? So I think it changed my life as well. Although I have a team of people and they help me, but like I'm able to do 3 times the tasks I was able to do before. And Michael, what's your definition of personal brand?
Branding for me, it's a story. Personal branding is your personal story. So I believe we care more about Steve Jobs, how he came to America, if his father was Syrian, if what he did it under stress or under this or under that, more than the products that Apple produces. It's a story. And one of my favorite ever books is the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And inside the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, it says that marketing, and maybe I can marry it to branding, is owning a word or a sentence in the other person's mind. Mm-hmm. When they think of branding, to think of Factory 39. Mm. When they think of leadership or public speaking, hopefully they will think of Michael or any other Michael Virardi. But owning a word or a sentence, it can be negative, of course, but owning that word or that sentence. If you manage to do that and have a story, because story is emotional and the heart is closer to the pocket than the brain is, people connect emotionally and then they biologically. So it's very important to have that story out.
No, like I these are the things I live and I coach, and like the way that you describe it is beautiful. Like the geeks in branding, they will call it positioning. Own a specific position inside your customer brain. So when the demand arises, you are the selected supply immediately. It's like buying a car. You buy a car every 5-10 years perhaps, but when you go and buy the car, you already have 3 top brands. You don't do research, but because in the duration of your life and your existence as a consumer, those specific 3 brands, for some reason or another, they manage to get ownership of a tiny little piece of your brain, which has very limited storing capacity.
You're very right. And sometimes what the brand owns is how you make your decision. For example, I left from a German make of car, which I was very happy, to go to Toyota. Why did I go to Toyota? Because I have 3 children, I have a dog, I have a house that I'm renting, I have expenses, and I wanted a car that will never break down. Or if it breaks down, I will give 200, not 1,500. Because the last few years with my German car, which I didn't trade in at the tipping point of 10 years, I paid another half of that car. I paid another 20,000 euros extra. So I came not because I wanted a Toyota, but because I wanted peace of mind. They owned that. I got that. And that's how I proceeded. In my mind, I might be wrong, but that's what I am receiving now. That's my reality today.
No, 100%. And I think Toyota strategically built that image that can own.
Yes.
Ultimately, all cars are interchangeable in terms of taking you from point A to point Z, right?
Correct.
But there are some specific cars,
and especially in Cyprus, point A to point B is very near.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours drive. And what's the hardest part in personal branding? Do you think is the personal part or is the actual externalization of that?
The hardest part is to live your values. Whatever you promise to deliver. Some people tell me about what do you mean values and values. Recently, I was having a workshop in London, and I asked them, okay, I will explain. You don't need to answer. You just need to think. And I will ask you the same question. Would you ever rob a bank if no one would ever find out? So if it's a yes, these are your values. If it's a no, these are your values. Completely different values. Completely different. I don't need an answer. So are you living close to your values? Are you living your values? Are you being authentic with your values? And I think branding for me, and I can give you an example, even though I was reluctant to give this example. It happened, 2 examples, but I will give them to you because some people might not believe them. Yesterday, the general manager or the CEO of a very big company in Libya, Pepsi, called me and he said, shall we continue with the one-on-one? And I said, George, you don't need the one-on-ones. We finished. It's okay. Your managers are ready. We've been doing it for 2 years. He said, what do you mean no? I said, no. It's a lot of thousands of pounds times so many hours. And I said, no. He said, okay, what do you suggest we do? I told him what I suggest we do. The CEO of a very big company in New York, she called me. She said, Michael, go run a SWOT analysis with a pastel in my Greece, Athens, and London offices. But please, when you are there, can you please train my CEO in Greece on public speaking? And I said, is she well versed? I don't know. Please find out. Let me know. Okay, I trust you fully. Let me know what you did, how many hours, and how much you want. After you finish, not before. This is trust, and trust is a new currency. The reason I didn't want to say this is because I don't think many will believe this. You know why? Because 99% of the times is, how much is it? Okay, we'll do branding. How much is that? Okay, we'll buy training. If I say, imagine if your customers trust you so much to tell you, go and do it, and come back and tell me. Whatever you tell me. But this is the thing. And being true to your values, living your values, knowing your values. Because if you know your values, you have a moral compass. You know what you will do, what you won't do. What you accept, what you won't accept. And that's branding for me, authenticity.
No, I love it. And I think you describe it in a different way, but pretty much the same.
I saw a video of yours together with the guys, the conference guys.
Eman.
Mm-hmm. If you look at your video, it's full of Post-it notes. Why? Because you wanted to bring out most probably what they had inside, so they could live according to what they had inside, their values. They could live according to their values. Yeah. And Iman said in that video, the work you've done with your team was amazing. Yeah. So that's the best branding of them all.
It's true. That's how we build trust. And because my problem with branding and the profession that I do is the lack of understanding. So I need to find ways to externalize it. And the fact that you saw it and you understood, it was strategic, right? But we spend countless amount of hours asking these people, what is the reason you're in business beyond making money? If on Monday you will not get paid and you will go back to the office, what is the bloody reason? Because once you have that center point of purpose, it becomes your ultimate litmus test. Should I hire this person? Yes or no? Should I be associated with this company? Yes or no? Should I do this expansion? Yes or no? If you don't have a guiding principle, poop eyes, zigzag.
Very true. You know, the exact same thing you said, I asked it in a keynote recently. I asked the people, there were 1,100 people in the audience, what is the purpose of a business? And I believe 1,000 out of the 1,100, they shouted to make a profit. Yeah. I disagree. I think the purpose of a business is to get and keep a customer. Yeah. If you get and keep a customer, you make all of what they said before. Yeah. It's not about profit. It's about getting and keeping that customer, and the profit will be the result of doing things right.
Yeah. It's hard though, huh? It's hard. I mean, if we're talking about brand building, talking about trust building, we're talking about years, not days, not months. We're talking about years of making choices that might not generate profit and revenue while you have kids.
Martin,
family,
if it was
cars.
easy, everyone would do it. So everything is hard in life, especially the difficult things.
Yeah.
Of course it's hard, and you need to invest time from now.
Were you ever in that position where you said, nah, it's too much, too hard in those early years? Because now you know, listening to you is beautiful and is empowering, but also from in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, now you can command this, right? And you are in a more empowered position to say, that's not right for me, is against my values. But if we take this back 20 years where you had other financial drivers, it's much easier to go off values. because you want that maybe you need that money that year, you know.
True. First of all, you are as good as your last performance. It applies to theater, it applies to branding, it applies to keynote speaking or seminars. You are as good as your last performance. And I have to be honest with you, during the beginning years, maybe I would have accepted a few more jobs about doing this or about doing that.
Yeah.
And as soon as I stepped on stage and I saw that my eyes I wasn't passionate enough, I wasn't driving the message enough, I said, stop it, Michael, because you are ruining the most important thing, which is your reputation and ultimately your legacy. So one thing that I never found it hard is to live according to my values. Never. For example, I have a huge network. People come to me and they say, Michael, this is the percentage you will get if you promote us. Yeah. I've never done it in my life. If there is anyone who can come and say Michael has done it, let them come up and say it. Never. You know why? Even though the Americans do it, even though my mentors do it in America, they send, if you place this code, I get 20%, but you'll get 30% discount. I never do it. It's against my values. Yeah. I feel this is dirty money for me, not for others, for me. I've never done it. So I stay true to my values, and at the end of the day, it has worked. Without saying that you shouldn't work hard on your business, in educating yourself and learning and growing.
You absolutely smash it on social media, and you are like a Cypriot born and raised consultant, you know, coming from the business traditional family environment. Like, it's not exactly the traditional social media influencer path. How did you manage? Because you're doing well on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Everywhere I checked, you had terrific traction.
I'll tell you, and thank you very much. First of all, I wasn't ashamed to ask. When I started on TikTok, because if I get my mobile, if I take my mobile up and record myself, I wasn't doing very well. My videos didn't have a lot of traction. So I started calling my friends, competitors, and say, guys, can you explain to me how I can become better in this?
And they were doing better than you.
They were doing better than me. They were not as well known as me. They didn't have as much business as I had, but I called and I asked, how can I do it better? Because I help as well if people ask me. And I will tell them all the secrets because there are no secrets.
Yeah.
And they told me, Michael, try this. Michael, try that. It didn't work. So one day as I was sitting in my office, I said, look, every football player has a skill. I remember Milenko Spoljaric, who used to play for my team Apollon. He wasn't fast at all. He was tremendously talented. We used to go to Syria here to watch him. One of the best players in Europe. The only reason he didn't play for the big leagues, Milan, Inter, and the rest, was because he wasn't slow. He was slow. He wasn't fast enough. He said, pass the ball. The ball travels faster if you pass it rather than dribble the whole team. So he was passing the ball. So every one of us has a gift. You have to find your gift. I was thinking to myself, why are the people coming to my seminars saying, Michael, it was an extremely excellent seminar. We loved it. We learned a lot. Why are the people hiring me again and again? And I turned to my assistant, Max, and I said, Max, let's take the stage to the stage. He said, what do you mean the stage to the stage? Let's record our performances on stage. On stage, I feel like myself. On stage, I feel like I'm in my zone. Let's record them. Let's do an excerpt from that micro content, and let's put it up there. The same video I've done outside a building next to my house that got 500 views, got 500,000 views. Exactly the same words, not even a single word changed. Some videos went up to 4.5 million, others 2.1 million on TikTok, 8 million on YouTube. I never gave up, but I also changed my strategy because I had to admit to myself I wasn't as good as the others. I wasn't resonating with my audience. I wasn't resonating with myself watching my videos. I didn't like them. I couldn't convince myself.
It was out of context.
It was out of generation. I think I'm not comfortable by looking at the camera and the camera doesn't smile. But if I look at Adonis and Adonis smiles at me like he was very polite when I came in here, I felt comfortable.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like out of your comfortable situation.
Yes, it was out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Some people take the mobile like Gary Vee and they talk to their mobile like they're talking to their mother. They are inspired. I cannot talk to a blank thing that doesn't smile.
Yeah.
So I had to admit
Because
it.
you're a people person, you're a connection
Yes,
person.
one thing is technology, another thing. I use technology, but in a different sense. When I was unaware, whilst I was on stage.
You know what I love about this, Michael? That it's not rocket science. You know, it's strategic thinking with a very simple output, and I think that's good strategy, isn't it? It needs to be bloody simple to do, but it comes from very well framing the problem and understanding it right. Sometimes we do not frame the problem good enough. We do not ask ourselves what is it that we're trying to solve, and we overcomplicate it. Where sometimes it's just a notch, you know. As little dial. And
You couldn't have said it better. And that's what I say also to my friends who open up restaurants. They go to friends like Martin and Michael and Adonis and they say, how was the food?
Yeah.
You invited me. It's all complimentary. What will I tell you? But if you ask
my
me
God.
from 1 to 10, how's the food? And because I am very polite, I will say 9. And then you ask me, how can I get to 10? Then I will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because you gave me that leeway in there. So it's how you frame the question in a way that will get others to talk.
It's so important because we are driven by biases. Since we were childs, we were saying, this is blue, this is pink, this is black, and like this is the way that we need to think. And I think a big problem of the lack of personality, authenticity, and creativity, which we'll go in a bit into it, is also how we were taught. We were taught to take yes or no, black or white, nothing in the middle, you know, but we are fluid. Like, you know, on Monday, I might be this person. On Tuesday, I'm slightly different. On a Friday night, because of a series of events, I feel completely different, but I'm still the same person.
Correct.
Change clothes, change things, and I'm still, so it's really interesting. And that reframing is fascinating. I forgot where I wanted to go, but like the next thing that I wanted to talk with you, going from content, going to personal branding, is this big word of authenticity, which I see get thrown around, and which I also want to have authenticity as the main dish, and I want to have a side dish of vulnerability. And I want you to tell me everything about these two main courses.
Amazing question. People find it hard to be vulnerable. I think being vulnerable is being true to yourself, is being authentic, is being true to your values.
Yeah.
And whenever I coach people on public speaking, I always tell them, be vulnerable. Go ahead and talk. Say what you want to say. Talk about your challenges, because not only in Cyprus, but mainly in Cyprus, we like to show up as very manly. We like to show up as formidable. We know it, and we are too strong. But a leader shouldn't be like that. I remember one of my assistants asking me once, but you go to customers and you tell them, I don't know how to do this. Yes, because I don't know how to do this. Why should I get hired to do something? I don't know how to do it. You have to be honest. This is what I do. This is what I believe in. Or whenever companies call me, especially Forex companies, to cold call. Cold call, I don't like it. I am directly against cold calling. Cold calling is the exact opposite of a warm calling. It's like going hunting. When you go hunting, the prey runs for its life. When you go fishing, the fish comes to you. So I prefer to go fishing by delivering value, not go hunting. I don't like hunting. So this is the purpose. And being authentic is a competitive advantage because it's your own story, and being vulnerable, it's your own story. And you have to be careful sometimes, because I was too vulnerable once and I got sued. But I don't want to go into this so I don't get sued again.
Yeah, but also there is a thin line between authenticity, vulnerability, and bullshit.
Yes.
As well. I think, and we discussed about it as well, you know, how people do a vulnerable post, an authentic post goes well. Then they feel like, oh, this is what I need to go. And they go for it one more, and they go for it one more, and they go for it one more. So they weaponize something that at the beginning was coming from a good place, and now is going into a shit place, because it's like you want to monetize on it, honestly, isn't it? Which is the complete opposite of being authentic, right?
Very true. I think authenticity and vulnerability, people feel it. Bullshit, people smell it. So it's important for people to feel it. The wisdom of the masses. I think there was a book, The Wisdom of the Masses. People can feel if it's authentic. And I think we spoke about it on the phone. One of the things that I learned from a very good friend of mine, Thalis Panagidis, is the following. Before you post something, ask yourself a question. is this a boost to society or is this a boost to my ego? If it's a boost to society, your post will be not only viral, but vital. If it's a boost to your ego, I don't think it will behave as well. It won't do as well.
Serve others.
Yes,
not yourself.
serve others. Serve others. For example, you can say I spoke at Google. That's a boost to your ego. Or you can say when I went to Google,
I talked about this and this is what you can do.
yes. Or one of the things that I learned at Google and honestly has helped me is one of the questions that the Googlers ask people who come in, especially sales position, is how would you explain Google AdWords to a 3-year-old? Because if you can explain it to a 3-year-old, you will be using either storytelling or an image. And as Einstein has said, if you can explain it simply, you know it.
I love that because one of my favorite quotes is that if you're able to frame your customer problem better than they're able to do it, you will gain the trust that you have the solution, even if you don't have the solution. It's about understanding them. And to me, I think personal brand, content, everything you do, and I think everything that defines you, it boils down to one simple word, which is empathy.
Thank you,
Which is understanding what they want. And I think every good brand is like this. And that goes back to your framework of like, does it boost society or does it boost ego? And what drives that question is empathy, right? So am I doing it for others? Am I doing it for myself? And I think it's a really good framework because necessarily is not wrong talking about your personal achievement. But I think if you manage to strategically do it in a way that you help others, then you kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Exactly. Well said. And I like the word empathy you said because recently I spoke to my friend, the CEO of Grant Thornton Cyprus, Stavros Ioannou, and I asked him, Stavros, after looking at all my videos, can you help me exactly pinpoint how I help professionals? Because I want to run some LinkedIn courses, but I'm trying still to find the angle I can go in. And he said, after looking at all your videos, there is one thing that you teach professionals. And I said, what? I care. If people care, because he told me accounting-wise, AI will come in. Banking-wise, AI will come in. So at the end of the day, everyone will close the books. The thing is, when people are calling you, will you answer at the 4th ring? When you have an appointment at 10, will you be there at 9:55 or 10:01? So that's the thing, I care. And all the things that you are preaching and teaching, he said, it's about I care, making professionals care for others. So thank you for the empathy because now I got another parallel to what Stavros has said.
What you just said is another important framework. Like if my suggestion to people that are trying to define their values is ask your friends.
Yes.
Pick 4 words to describe me, right? And you'll be fascinated how close to reality those are.
That's true. I like this. I never done it, but I would do it.
Yeah.
And
on post-its even better, like
yes.
we do every now and then, and that's actual real branding, right? So this is how you are currently today perceived externally, and if that matches how you want to be perceived, you must be doing things right.
I think it's similar to what Jeff Bezos says,
yeah,
that branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Yes.
Michael, I love this conversation. I want to have one last final question for you. Πού είμαστε στην Κύπρο? Like where do you see Cyprus at the moment? And based on your experience as well, what is happening?
I think you had guests here who are more equipped than me to answer it, and they did answer it looking at some of the episodes. I believe Cyprus is a bridge between the Middle East and Europe. Stylianos Lambrou and the whole philosophy around his thinking and his acting is to make us a hub, a technological hub. I believe if they continue down that path, it will help a lot. And at the end of the day, I think Cyprus is very promising. But what I would say to entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, freelancers, is not to limit themselves only in Cyprus. It's a very small place, very small place. Now that I open my wings and I'm flying around the globe, I can see that the world is our oyster, and we can spread our wings. Like Martin came here and he's very successful. He can imitate and emulate what he's doing globally. When one of my best friends, Stavros Galatariotis, was telling me, go to New York and find business, I was laughing because I couldn't believe I could do that. And he was insisting you can do that. Now that I've done it, and my phone doesn't only ring from Cyprus, it rings from all over the world, I've seen that we can open possibilities. So don't limit yourself on this island. Cherish this island for what it provides, the comfort, the short distances, the quality of life, technology that's becoming now a hub. But be a free bird, fly away as well.
Brilliant. Love it. Michael, thank you very much for your time. Before you go, what's the best place for people to connect with you, follow you, find out what you're working on, and so on?
First of all, let me say a huge thank you for this invitation. It was a pleasure and an honor being here. And they can find me at michaelvirardi.com on the website, on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or they can call my phone. It's on my website there. They can call me direct.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys. See you next time.